This week's new PlayStation Store sale, it is huge. It's packed with a ton of digital offers, but today I want to do something a little bit different. I want to focus on those deals that are expiring soon because the selection here is genuinely incredible, and I think there are more than a few games here that you don't want to miss. Now we've got everything from indie gems to award-winning hits and AAA blockbusters. Now as always, I'm going to be covering deals across the US, Canada, UK, EU and Australia with 15 games to share. Now if you do enjoy this video, then do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment down below, all of that good stuff, helps out a ton. And now let's get into it. Granblue Fantasy Relink is 55% off a new low price, and when I jumped into this one I had barely any experience with the series and I loved it. The combat is fast, fluid, just plain fun. The world, it's packed with interesting characters. What really sets it apart for me though is the pacing. It's quick moving, so you're never far from the action. It keeps things exciting. Honestly as well, really shines when you embrace the online co-op. You're teaming up with up to 4 players to take on tougher battles, and that's where it gets seriously addictive. Now here you're going to be exploring the Sky Realm, a floating set of islands as the captain of a skyfaring crew on a quest to find an island. Now along the way you'll build a party of 4, each character bringing unique weapons, skills and playstyles to the table, and the real-time combat system then, it's deep with mechanics like link attacks and chain bursts that just feel incredibly satisfying. Visually then, it's stunning, the world design just is top tier and the soundtrack is incredible. So yeah, look, also I will say with this one, if you're curious, there is a demo available too, that's definitely worth checking out. Nobody Wants to Die is 40% off, matching its lowest price, and I did a full playthrough with this one over on Game Corner. I'll link that down below. Honestly, if you're a fan of narrative-driven experiences, this one is incredible. I'd even argue it's one of the best looking games on the system thanks to its Unreal Engine 5 visuals. Now if you are after a good murder mystery set in a cyberpunk world, this is the one. Just know it's light on action, focusing more on storytelling and investigation. Now narrative-wise, you're going to be playing as Detective James Kara in New York 2329, a future where immortality is possible if you can afford it. Now, after a near-death experience, Kara takes on an off-the-books case with the help of a young liaison, Sarah Kai. Now the gameplay here revolves around investigating crime scenes using time manipulation tech to reconstruct offense, and you'll also use that then to uncover hidden clues. The noir atmosphere though is thick, exploring themes of transhumanism and the moral decay that comes with eternal life. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is 67% off a new low price, and I only played this one recently, but I've got to say, really surprised. Movie tie-in games don't have the best track record, let's face it, but this one gets a lot right. It's a really enjoyable first-person adventure with a world that is genuinely fun to explore. Plus the addition of full campaign co-op is a great touch if you want to experience it with a friend. Now here you'll be playing as a Navi who was abducted and trained by the RDA, the Human Military Corporation. But now, after 15 years, you are free. You're basically a stranger in your own homeland. The story revolves around reconnecting with your roots, joining other clans, and fighting back against the RDA to protect Pandora. Gameplay-wise then, you'll explore the Western Frontier, an open-world region filled with incredible landscapes and a whole lot of danger, and you can bond with your own Banshee for aerial travel and combat, and that is incredibly satisfying. The combat then, it lets you mix traditional weapons like bows and spears with human firearms, think assault rifles. Yeah, I think it's definitely worth checking out, especially at this price. Talking about good movie tie-ins, RoboCop Rogue City is 67% off, matching the low price, and honestly, it's another one where I was skeptical of going in. You know, RoboCop isn't exactly known for his speed, and this seemed like a game where clunky controls might actually fit the character, but you know, no one wants that. But yeah, I'll say this, they nailed it. The action feels solid, the world is a blast to explore, and while I'll admit some bias because I grew up on the movies, it just really captures what makes RoboCop iconic. But yeah, so this one, expect to step into the role of the legend, part man, part machine, all cop, bringing justice to the crime-ridden streets of old Detroit. You're armed with the iconic Auto 9 and over 20 other weapons, and you'll blast through criminals in first-person combat. As you progress, you can upgrade RoboCop's cyborg strength and cybernetic abilities, making you an even more unstoppable force. And yeah, I think what's great here is that it's not just mindless shooting. You'll investigate crime scenes, interrogate suspects, and make decisions that do impact the narrative. Your choices then affect both the fate of the citizens and the outcome of your missions. Also, important point here, Peter Weller, he's back voicing RoboCop, which adds an extra layer of authenticity. So yeah, overall, it's a love letter to the franchise and an absolute win for fans. Palworld is 25% off, matching its lowest price, and honestly, the best way to describe it is Pokemon with guns, though I'm not sure that's the most helpful phrase given the legal attention from Nintendo. Still, it's surprisingly fun. Now, I wasn't sure what to expect when I jumped in, but it hooked me with ongoing updates, and yeah, now I still find myself coming back. At its core, Palworld, though, is an open-world survival and crafting game where you live alongside mysterious creatures known as pals. You can catch, breed, and battle them, or if you're feeling less sentimental, put them to work on farms, in factories, or even sell them for profit. The survival mechanics then add an extra edge, food scarcity, poachers, harsh environments. It means basically you'll have to make some tough decisions. It is weird, this one, but somehow it all kind of works. F124 is 85% off a new low price, and I'll keep it quick. It's one of the best races on the system and a personal favourite. In fact, it's the only racing game I buy yearly. Now look, if you do have an active EA membership, you can play it for free, but I don't, which is why I think this deal is absolutely just worth it at this price. The big reason for the discount then, transparently, no doubt F125 is just right around the corner. Plus, this edition doesn't include the story mode, which only pops up every couple of years. Funny enough, I never thought I'd miss that, but I genuinely enjoy it when it is there. Now this all said then, the core racing is top notch, that's the important bit. Fully licensed, all the official tracks, and just a blast to play. If you're an F1 fan, I don't think you can go wrong with this one. The Callisto Protocol is 80% off a new low price, and I reviewed this one, check out that video link below. Transparently, it was disappointing and far from perfect. The biggest issue for me, a clunky combat system that often feels like it's working against you. It's putting you at a constant disadvantage. That said, there are elements to enjoy. It looks great, the setting is genuinely intriguing with its grim sci-fi vibes, and there are a few set pieces that really did impress me. But what is it all about? Well, in this narrative-driven, third-person survival horror game set 300 years in the future, you play as Jacob Lee, a prisoner stuck in Black Iron Prison on Jupiter's moon, Callisto. When an outbreak turns inmates into monstrous creatures, basically zombies, chaos erupts and survival becomes your only goal. The gameplay, it blends shooting with close quarters combat, and you expect to scavenge for weapons, gear, and upgrades while uncovering dark secrets tied to the mysterious United Jupiter Company. Basically, with this one, I'm going to say this: it's no Dead Space beta, but still, if you are curious, this is a cheap way to check it out, and I'm sure some folks out there will find things to appreciate. So yeah, I'd say go in with tempered expectations. Banishers Ghost of New Eden is 50% off, matching the low price, and honestly, it's a shame this one was largely ignored at launch because it is solid. I really enjoyed the combat, especially the dynamic between the two protagonists, that's Antea and Red. You'll basically switch between them to leverage their unique skills, and it's kind of a blend of physical arsenals and spiritual powers. It makes for some really kind of satisfying combos. What really hooked me though with this one was the story. It's set in New Eden, 1695, and you follow Antea and Red, partners and ghost hunters, or banishers as they're known here. They've basically vowed to protect the living from restless spirits. But it all kind of gets turned on its head because after a mission goes horribly wrong, Antea is fatally wounded and becomes the very thing she once hunted, a ghost. Basically, it's a narrative with emotional weight. It's this journey as they search for a way to free Antea from her spectral fate, and I just found myself genuinely invested in their relationship. The world itself as well, it's just filled with kind of interesting supernatural creatures, there's mysteries, there's really tough moral decisions that directly impact the story, but also the lives of the inhabitants of this world. And it's these choices that made it stick with me. It's forcing you to weigh your duty as a banisher against your love. So yeah, like if you're into story-driven action RPGs, definitely take a peek. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is 50% off, matching the low price, and with a new spin-off just around the corner, it feels like the perfect time to revisit the most recent mainline entry, and what a game this is. Cannot recommend the series enough. From its brawler roots to the more strategic kind of RPG style we've seen in recent titles, it's just a franchise where I'll play every single entry on release date without hesitation, and this one, again, incredible. Now the story, it brings together two protagonists, their paths intertwine in a narrative packed with depth, drama, and the signature mix of kind of heartfelt moments and over-the-top absurdity that the series is now known for. And gameplay-wise, it's RPG action. What really sets it apart, though, is the setting. You'll explore not just Japan here, but Hawaii as well, making it one of the biggest entries yet. So yeah, whether you're diving into side quests, mini-games, or just soaking in the location, there's always something just around the corner waiting for you that will surprise you. And if you've never tried the series, I'm going to say this, don't start here. Go all the way back to the beginning, Kiwami or Zero, and start there because you've got an incredible journey ahead of you. Persona 3 Reload Digital Deluxe Edition is 50% off, matching its lowest price, and this is only the second time we've seen it drop this low. Now, I reviewed this one, find that video linked below, but simply put, one of the best turn-based RPGs out there, and this remake, it is incredible. Now, I will say here, I don't usually recommend digital deluxe editions, but this is an exception. It's just a few dollars more than the standard sale price, and it comes with a digital art book. Don't really care too much for that, but most importantly, the soundtrack, which it's worth every single bit of extra cash spent on it. The Persona series is known then as well for its incredible music, so that's why I highlight it. I've listened to this soundtrack now so many times, and Reload just delivers in spades. Now, when it comes to the game itself then, you step into the role of a transfer student who discovers the Dark Hour, a hidden time that exists between one day and the next. You'll basically then awaken a mysterious power, typical of the series, join the SEAS, the Specialized Extracurricular Execution Squad, and unravel the secrets of this situation. The story here is incredibly dark, I will warn that, but again, incredible. And the gameplay is just classic Persona with a fresh coat of paint, turn-based combat that's both strategic but incredibly stylish, life simulation elements where you build relationships, and then an incredibly reimagined port island to explore. Add in then the modernized visuals, the quality of life improvements, and new scenes with additional voice acting, and it's the best way to experience this entry, or at least that is the case if you part with some extra cash for the DLC as well. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 is 25% off, matching its lowest price, and pre-launch, I'll admit I had my doubts, but thankfully it delivered the brutal, action-packed experience I was hoping for. Honestly, it basically feels like Gears of War in 2025, and that is not a bad thing. It's basically all about slaying everything in sight with satisfying over-the-top combat. I've even got some gameplay videos up, which I will link down below if you do want to check them out. Here though, expect to be stepping into the boots of Space Marine Titus, an absolute powerhouse and one of the Emperor's finest warriors. The campaign is intense, pitting you against relentless Tyranid swarms across war-torn planets, and you can tackle it solo or with up to 2 friends in 3-player co-op, which definitely adds a ton of replayability. I've done the campaign now kind of like 2.5 times, I guess. Now, outside of that campaign then, there's PvE mode, where you create your own Space Marine and dive into replayable missions. You can choose from 6 different classes. Expect to, unlock new skills, cosmetics as you do progress. I'd say the only downside with this release, competitive multiplayer, it just didn't hit the mark for me. It feels slower than I'd hoped, especially compared to the fast pace of something like Gears of War, and that was disappointing because Gears was like a religion back for me in my uni days, and I would have loved for this to have just replicated it. Still though, look, absolutely worth the investment. Helldivers 2 is 20% off, matching its lowest price, and if you're after the best co-op multiplayer experience of 2024, this is it. Think Starship Troopers without the name, but it's packed then with all of the action you'd expect. What really makes it special though is how it forces players to genuinely work together. It's not just about running and gunning, you're part of a larger war effort. You're defending countless locations against threats ranging from alien hordes to what are basically Terminators. Expect though to squad up in a team of 4, tackling missions where teamwork is essential, and yes, friendly fire is always on, which adds an extra layer of chaos and, well, comedy, honestly, when things go sideways. Gameplay wise then, it's a third-person shooter with a ton of freedom in how you approach combat, so if you want to rain down hell from above with massive airstrikes, go for it. Prefer sneaking behind enemy lines or charging headfirst into battle? That can work too. You've got access basically to an arsenal of explosive firepower, life-saving armor, and game-changing mods to turn the tide. The best part then? Well, as I said, every mission contributes to a larger galactic war. The planets you capture, the invasions you defend against, it all impacts the community's progress, and it's a kind of game where your actions feel like they matter even beyond your small squads. Balatro then is 20% off, a price we've only seen once before, and honestly, it's one of my absolute favourite games of 2024. It is incredible. A deck builder all about cheating your way through poker. Now that might sound simple, but trust me, it is anything but. Don't even want to admit how many hours I've sunk into this game. I picked it up on the Switch first, then for some reason grabbed it on PlayStation, and finally discovered the mobile version. So yeah, now I can play it anywhere. It is that addictive as well. Now at its core, Balatro is a poker-inspired roguelike deck builder where you combine valid poker hands with unique joker cards to create wild synergies and outrageous combos. The goal, earn enough chips to beat increasingly tough blinds and uncover hidden bonus hands. There's even new decks to unlock as you progress. They've done a ton of collaborations with some fantastic games that are out there, things like The Witcher, for example. But yeah, I think the real magic with this one comes from the Jokers themselves. They're game changers that can completely flip the odds in your favor, allowing for combos that are just ridiculous in the best possible way. And then each run feels fresh because you're constantly discovering new strategies, whether you're a poker fan or not. I don't know the rules at all personally, but this game hooks you fast, and before you know it, hours have disappeared. Highly, highly recommended. Metaphor ReFantazio is 30% off a new low price, and without a doubt it's the best RPG of 2024. The story is incredible, the world is dark and visually stunning. Honestly, the art direction alone would be enough to sell me, but when you factor in that it's from the creators of Persona, it is a no-brainer for any RPG fan. So here you'll step into a unique fantasy world, journeying alongside your fairy companion as you work to lift the curse from the kingdom's lost prince. What really sets it apart though is the archetype system. These magical powers, they lie dormant in your heart, and as you awaken them, you unlock new abilities. Yes, it's very Persona-esque. The gameplay though then shifts between day and night cycles. During the day, you'll tackle quests, dive into dungeons and hunt for treasure. At night, it's all about strengthening bonds, building relationships, and increasing, those stats. Time management, basically, absolutely crucial. You'll also then just generally explore an incredible world, traveling to towns and dungeons, and yeah, this one, it is a must-buy. Still Wakes the Deep is our final deal of the video, and it's a weekend-only deal, so do act fast. It's 50% off, a new low price, and honestly, a gem of a game. I won't pretend it's perfect, so the controls can feel a bit clunky at times, but what it's absolutely nailing here is the narrative, the horror, and the constant sense of dread. The setting, just incredible as well. A 1970s offshore oil rig in Scotland, brought to life with stunning detail. The voice acting is top tier, adding even more weight. And yeah, here expect to be playing as an offshore oil rig worker caught in the middle of a vicious storm while facing down something that's crept aboard. There's no communication, no way out, just you, the rig, and the horror that's closing in. Now the gameplay here is focusing on survival as a warning. No weapons, no supernatural powers, just your wits, quick thinking, and a lot of running, climbing, and sneaking through corridors and crumbling decks. The environment itself though is perhaps the game's best character, the biggest win of the experience, because honestly, I didn't want to leave. So yeah, what I'd say with this one is, expect a very good 6-hour journey that will stick with you. And that is the video done. Will you be adding anything to the library this week? Let me know in the comments. With that, do me a favor, hit subscribe, like the video, maybe share it. It supports the channel a huge amount. And I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers all.